I had planned to talk about, and I've kind of been rolling this around in my head for a while. A few days ago, I saw a comment that this lady posted about somebody who was in the groups. I don't know which group it was. I don't know if it's all the groups or one of the groups. But they had been one of CMC's followers, and they had jumped ship and come over to the groups, and then they saw them back in her comments. And we have seen this happen. We've seen this happen with several of her people. We've seen this happen with people who we were like, are you seriously kidding me? After the way she did her, after the way she manipulated her and lied on her and tried to take her, and she's right back over there again. And not only over there, but like really, really deep into CMC's manipulation and fraud, basically. That's what it boils down to. You can call it, you can put lipstick on a pig, but it's still a pig, right? So all this stuff about her getting other people to take her star money and send it to their bank account, just like she's doing Ed, it's fraud. It really is fraud. It's hiding money from the IRS. It's hiding money from the Social Security Department. It's hiding money from the child support enforcement people. It's hiding income. And while that is not always, in my opinion, my personal opinion, you can earn money without having to report every single nickel that you earn. If you babysit, if you mow somebody's yard, if you paint somebody's fence and they pay you cash, I don't see that as like, okay, I've got to run down now and I got to put this on my W-2. I got to make sure that this is counted so they can take taxes out of this. I don't believe that. I believe people should have a right to earn a little bit of money. And CMC, we may not like to use the word earn with her, but let's set aside all the stars and let's set aside all the gifts on TikTok, and let's just talk about what she gets paid from Facebook for her page, for her videos, for her ad revenue, that the ads that'll run on her page, and her supporters. Even though that's fraud in my opinion, because she doesn't. It's really not fraud, I guess, in a way. It's kind of like manipulation, really, more than anything. Sign up to become a supporter, guys. You're going to get all kinds of extra content that the other people don't get. So they're like, oh, wow, I'm going to be a part of something really private, and I'm going to get to watch her do stuff that other people can't watch. Well, some of those people probably are new and don't realize that everything she does is streamed in these groups. And but she doesn't give them any content, additional content. So this is why people say to these people, stop signing up to become a supporter. You can watch her for free on Ultimate Deception, on all these other pages that stream her. And they still do it. They're like, well, I'm just helping her. Well, how are you helping her? How are you helping yourself? This is what I think people are overlooking in this society, in this economy that we're getting into. Is just getting started on a downward spiral. Gas prices have not even peaked for summer yet. School is not out yet in most areas. This week and next week, probably toward the 1st of June, is going to be the wrap-up for schools. And then you're going to have summer events. You're going to have baseball. You're going to have sport events. You're going to have kids wanting to work summer jobs. Gas prices are going to become enormous. But to those people that talk about all the people that go back over there to her, I know I've changed the subject 5 times. I just want to give my own 2 cents on why I believe that they do that. A narcissist grooms people to see them in the way that they want them to see them, if that makes any sense. A narcissist will take somebody They will groom that person. They get a feel for that person. They get a feel for how sympathetic is this person, how manipulative, how easily manipulative or manipulated are they? How easy is it for me to convince them of how sad and poor and pitiful I am? Or how easy is it for me to convince them of how loving and giving and caring I am? Or how strong and powerful I am? You know, it's according to what the narcissist is after in each particular victim. And they watch people's reactions. They listen to your story as though they are so into you, and they're so, oh my goodness, I can't believe you just said that, because that's exactly what's happening in my life, and we are so much alike. We have so much in common. And they find the one that responds in the way that they want. They find the one that they see, okay, this person is really, they're hanging on. They're hanging on to my every word. They're listening. They're believing everything I'm telling them. And it's at the same time, it's stoking and building up their own ego. So they make the story more grand. They make the story more elaborate. They tell more details. They embellish more. She might say to her whole crowd on there, guys, I'm struggling today, but it'll be okay, guys. It'll be all right. We'll figure something out. That's the setup. Now she waits until she sees who starts asking, what's going on? What's wrong? What do you need? And without even having to ask, some of these people may just go on ahead and send money, just thinking, okay, whatever it is, she's needing help today, so I've got a little extra, I'm going to send her. I'm going to send her some stars or whatever. She waits until she figures out who is willing to give without being asked, and who is asking, do you need anything? She's a vulture sitting up on the hillside watching for some animal to get hit by a car, and then she's going to swoop down, you know. They are predators. I know people don't like to believe that, but they are. Narcissists are predators. They watch for their prey. A cat is not going to run out and try to attack some big large animal like a deer or a wild hog. You know, a cat is going to watch for a little ground squirrel or maybe a ground mole or a bird. A cat is going to watch for something vulnerable and easy, prey, just like a human being does. Pedophiles prey upon children. They watch for the ones that are easy. They choose single moms that have 2 or 3 kids and are struggling and are out here trying to make ends meet, and who are, you know, busy working and maybe trying to go to school, and they've got these kids, and this guy comes along and he's Mr. Wonderful. He's perfect. He's willing to help with the kids. He's willing to help with the bills. He's oh, I love you so much. You're so wonderful. I love your kids. Let's be a family. She lets her guard down, and he moves in, because the only thing he's after to begin with is one of her kids, or 2 or 3 of her kids. That's how a predator works. A pedophile grooms people. And a narcissist grooms people. She watches the chat. She watches the comments. She sees who responds. And she preys upon those people. And she grooms them. She tells them her hard luck story. She tells them how... And she uses the haters. That is her one constant. She says to people, I'm never going to address those haters again. But she knows if she doesn't talk about the people that she calls haters and bullies, then she doesn't have anything to use as her crutch with her people. She can say how hungry she is. She can say how poor she is and how she can't pay her bills. But they see her smoking cigarettes, they see her drinking pop, they see her buying Snooki suntan, they see her buying new shirts and shorts and all this other stuff. Ed's constantly talking about riding his motorcycle. She's got a new vehicle. Even if it's not new, it's new to her, and it's a newer model because it's got, Bluetooth and all in it. But so what? Is it those people's responsibility to provide her with something to drive and food to eat? She thinks that it is. So she goes above and beyond just her income that she's getting from being on Facebook and having enough followers that she qualifies for those things. Having enough ads or enough video time, enough hours and viewing time to qualify for ads. That's the reason she went to YouTube to begin with, was for the ad revenue. Because if she's got enough followers on YouTube, she can get the AdSense money. And she probably still gets money from them. She might not get as much because she's not on there much. But then she discovered TikTok and the TikTok gifts. She sees people who like to play. Some of these people have addictions of their own. And you might take somebody who has a gambling addiction. Well, giving TikTok gifts to them is just like gambling. They'll go to the slot machines in these casinos and spend all this time putting this money in, trying to win something. So they're on her TikTok and they're giving, I'm going to give more stars. I'm going to give more gifts. I'm going to buy her a bigger gift. And they just keep it on, keep it on, keep it on. And they're so wrapped up in the momentum of it and in the crescendo, everything's like, oh, come on, guys, you got to help. When she's doing these challenges, these battles. And they're just like pushing those buttons. Gift. And so there you have it. I mean, they're getting their high from their addiction, and she's getting everything she wants. But people will figure her out. Some people will figure her out, and they will get tired of being used. They'll start to think I'm being used. She doesn't really care about me. She doesn't want to talk about me and my problems. She doesn't want to hear about my day. She's not interested. She doesn't even remember me. Even though we had a long conversation, she can't even tell me my last name. And they start to say, I don't want to be here anymore. I'm going to leave. I'm going to go over to the group, but I'm going to tell them how manipulated I was, how she took me for every last penny she could get, how she, I sent her this money and she promised to pay back, and then she blocked me. So they come over to the awareness pages in the moment that they are let down and hurt. They come over and they tell everybody. And then after a little time passes, they start missing that. They start missing that high, that rush. They start missing being part of that crowd. They start missing hearing her call out their name and chat. Oh, hey, girl. Hey, Bonnie Lou. Hey, Thelma Lou. Hey, Helen Crump. How are you, Helen Crump? I haven't seen you in a while. And they're just like, oh, hi, Crystal, honey. They love the attention, just as she loves the attention. Just like her little post that she put up this morning or last night. I can't believe I have little old me has all these people that loves me. That's a form of manipulation right there. That is a gaslighting. When she says stuff like, I just wish some of you really knew just the truth. That's gaslighting, because she knows that some of those people are going to say, I must find out the truth. So they start chatting her up and they start coming into her inbox. Or if she goes into their inbox, they're like, oh, she's picked me. I'm special. She's coming to me to tell me her story and me alone. And they feel special and they feel honored and they feel like I'm getting the attention. And they seek attention. Some of them don't have attention from anybody. Some of them don't get attention from they may not have a spouse. Their spouse may have died, or they may not have one. They may not have, their kids may not be around. They might have grown up, moved out. They might be a mom whose kids are in school and they're home bored. They might be, it's any number of people. We all have vulnerabilities. We all have parts of ourselves where we are a little more vulnerable. And, I mean, she preys on those people. And those people, and it's just like with any other narcissist. People go back. And y'all know I hate to keep harping on the same thing, but when I was texted after a year had passed, no contact whatsoever, the first text pissed me off. I'm like, well, what in the hell? What's this all about? This came from out of the blue. What in the hell does he want? And I didn't respond. And the next time, maybe, I don't know, 3 or 4 days go by, I get another text. This time, my curiosity got the better of me, and I gave the thumbs up to let him know that I saw the text. And then he just keeps on, and finally we're back conversating with each other. I know conversating ain't a word, but you know what I mean. We're back talking. We're chatting each other up in text or messenger or whatever it was. And it became like, well, he gaslighted the hell out of me, and I didn't even know it, because at the time I didn't know about narcissism. And it's like, well, he did this reverse psychology. You were the one that walked away. You were the one that left. You knew my circumstances, and you didn't want to wait around for me. We could have been together this whole time if you would have just done things my way. And I'm sitting there like, well, maybe I did jump the gun. Maybe I did overreact. Maybe I should have just, he really did care about me and love me after all. But he didn't. He didn't give two shits about me. Narcissists will come back. They will hoover people. They will test the waters. So the people that have left her, the people that have jumped ship with her, and they come back, she'll test the waters. Okay, they're back now. I'm going to see if they're really loyal to me. I'm going to see what they're willing to give. I'm going to see if they've learned their lesson. And she starts telling them, you ran over to those groups. You were the one that stabbed me in the back. You were the one that, did this or that. Or you made all this stuff up on me. And you made these fake profiles of me and told everybody that I buy money from you. And stuff like that. And they, she tells people that stuff about these people. And everybody's like, how could they go back over there to her after she's talked about them that way? Well, I know. How many couples have you known in your lifetime that one cheated, one spouse cheated on the other, or maybe they just fought all the time? Maybe, whatever the problem was, they break up. I hate his guts. I'm never going to speak to him again. And then a week or 2 weeks or a month later, they're right back together. Then they break up again. Then they get back together. I've talked about this before, and I'm gonna bring this up one more time. I don't know if it's still on or not. You can go look it up and see if you can find it. It was on Netflix, and it's called Maid. M-A-I-D. Like a housekeeper maid. It's a movie about a young woman. I'm not going to give the whole plot away, but she grows up in a volatile home life. So by the time she is a young woman, she is seeking somebody to give her the attention and affection and love that she didn't get growing up. The security that she didn't have growing up. And she falls for the wrong guy. He turns out to not be a very good person. And then you watch it as she begins to evolve and get away from him, but she keeps going back. And in the movie, as you're watching it, you're like, how could she be going back? Why did she go back again? But as each part of the movie evolves, you realize it is manipulation, it is fear, it is gaslighting, it is control. And it's somebody who doesn't feel like that they have enough power to get away. It's kind of like a last-ditch effort. It's like a choice. It's like a last option. It's like their only option. But then she starts to realize she does have options. And like I say, I'm not going to give the whole plot away, but if you can find that movie, I would recommend it to anybody. Does. But when you see people go back over to her, just think for a minute. Instead of like beating those people up, and they'll talk smack about people in the awareness pages. They'll say we're all haters, we're all demons. They'll be on her side. They'll say, I went over there, Crystal, and I couldn't believe those things they were saying. And people were coming into my inbox and they were cussing me and calling me names and all this stuff. I don't know if that is true or not. They don't show the screenshots of that to show proof of it, but, you know. But after that first text and that first little conversation went on for a few days, he would lay low and I wouldn't hear from him for a while. And then out of the blue, one day when I was busy doing something, there he was again. Hey. And after the third or fourth time, I started to notice his attitude toward me. He was more condescending. He was more sarcastic. He was more like demanding. It was like, I started to pick up on things. And I started to think back to all the people that had told me and warned me about him and told me shit about him that I just ignored. These red flags that I myself saw in the beginning and that I ignored. And I started to pick up on his little quirks, his little attitudes, his lies. I started to realize just how much he lied and just how much I started to pick up on the fact that he mistreated me. And it finally dawned on me, I don't really like this guy all that much. I don't like talking to him. I think he's a smart ass. I think he's a liar. And I started to really start to see him for myself. Nobody knew that he was texting me, so it wasn't like my friends were saying, well, you know what he did to you the last time. And I started to finally see it for my own self. But I still talked to him. It was almost like I didn't want to. I didn't want to, but I was like, I didn't want to like give it up. Part of me was drawn to it. Part of me, as sick as it was, and as angry as it made me, and as hurt as it sometimes made me, and as bad as it made me feel about myself, sometimes I was like drawn to it. And I would tell myself, I'm not going to talk to him. The next time he texts me, I'm not going to respond. I'm not going to speak to him. And then I would. But as time went on, I began to see it for my own self. And I began to pick up on things. And finally, I found the right word for him, narcissistic. Narcissism, narcissist. I finally put it all together. And it was like the clouds opened up for me. But had other people, when I was with him to begin with, people were saying to me, you know, he's not that great of a guy. He did this and that and the other, and he lies like a dog, and he's, you know, you can't believe nothing that he says, and he's just, you know, and I was like, what are they talking about? They don't know him the way that I do. How can they say those horrible things about this perfect person? And that's the way a lot of the people feel about her. All the people in the awareness pages, all the haters, as she calls us, we can tell these people from daylight to dark We could show them proof of her lies. We could show them the videos from YouTube. We can show them all the people that have told their stories about what she did to them. And they're still not going to believe it. They're still going to say, well, that's all put together, just like she said. Those vile demons, they pieced together all these clips of her talking. And you can even see in the background how different she's wearing a different shirt. And they will come up with every excuse in the book to believe the narrative that they want to believe. They want to believe what she tells them is true. How could she lie to them? But then slowly they start, some of them quicker than others, will start to see. Some of them will just walk away, no fanfare, nothing said. They're just like, oh, I see what she's all about. See you later, and they walk out. They don't join the awareness pages. They just go on with their life, and it was just another person that they watched on YouTube for a while, or Facebook, or whatever. And others come running to the groups because they're looking for the attention that she was giving them. They want to tell their story. They want to tell everybody just how right everybody was about her. And everybody is circling them. Everybody's like, come and tell your story. We're here to help. We're here to help you. We're here to listen to you. And after a while, she's moved on to some other victim. And this person's story has moved down the news feed. Everybody's heard their story, and everybody's patted them on the back and thanked them for seeing the light and congratulated them for getting away from her. And they're still like, hey, remember me? Remember what she did to me? And everybody's like, yeah. Now let's talk about this new person over here. So they start looking around, and they're like, well, I'm not getting the attention that I wanted. My story's not being told. These people really turned on me. And they run back over to her. And they tell her they lied on you. They told lies on me. Helps them right back in. Come on back in. Welcome back to the spider web. Come on back in. Come on back into my den. And then they may see it for themselves, and they may not. But you can't beat it into their head. You can't convince them. They have to learn it for themselves. They have to finally see it for themselves. This is and they're for a while they're the cock of the walk. They are the story. They're the headliner. And then, like all headlines and all big shots and all stories that are relevant at the moment, they become over here. They become like a side note. Now, there's another person that she mistreated. There's another person that she stabbed in the back. There's another person that came over to join us. And so that person starts seeking that attention that they weren't getting. And if they go back to her, she gives them a little bit of attention, as long as they're willing to pay for it. And words... A narcissist does not. Like she will say, I'm not going to talk about that person. Don't bring them up in my chat. I've blocked them. They lied on me. They went over to them groups and they told lies on me. Now they're blocked. But a narcissist never burns bridges. Because they know they may have to reach out to that person someday. That person may want to come back across the bridge to them, and then they can use that as leverage. Cut all ties with that person. But the narcissist is just like, they chose what they chose. I never did anything to them. I was good to them. Everything they said about me was a big lie. I was good to them. And if you see them, you can tell them, I don't have no hard feelings towards them. And they'll make sure that people believe them. So I'm going to wrap this up. I didn't mean to talk so long. I never do, but I always do anyway. going to use the word educate because I'm not an educator and I'm not a professional and I'm not any kind of like have more knowledge about this than anybody else. I am just someone who was once a victim of a narcissist. And it took me a long time, and I went through all the ups and downs. I went through all the roller coaster ride. I went back. I teeter-totted. I went back. I didn't go back. I'm not going to talk to him again. Here he is. I'm going to talk to him again. And it was like that for a couple of years until I finally said, I myself finally saw it. Nobody else had to bring it to me. Other people tried to bring it to me, and I denied it. And even after he treated me like shit and dumped me publicly, and I was embarrassed and humiliated and all this stuff, and I had to look at all these people that tried to say, I told you so, I would still play it off like, oh, well, you know, it wasn't that big of a deal. I try to get back in with them. That's what narcissists do. Go look it up. You know, go look it up. And on that note, I'm just going to say, when you see people teeter-totting, don't be so quick to say that they're horrible, awful human beings and that they're, you know,